Right then, it's another cup final and it's against opposition that we know about beating all too well this season. Newcastle United could leapfrog Arsenal with a win down the Emirates, and we're going to look at what tactics might work best for Eddie Howe. Is it as simple as 5 at the back again? It's all coming up, Newcastle fans, so do us a favour and make sure you stick around. It must be the ball, it must be the ball, Mikel Arteta, it must be the ball. Hopefully he's got another excuse this time round. Welcome back to Black White Banner anyway, ladies and gentlemen. I'm outside St James's Park, which is a place I've seen more of this week than what I normally do. It's been a busy all week. Dealing with Eddie Howe's Mags is currently in production. I don't like to rush them episodes, and my God, do they take a long time. There was the fan consultation event for the club crest. On Wednesday, I've posted a video about that. I believe I was one of the only, and I don't like this term because it makes us cringe through my teeth, I'm a football fan, but content creator who was there. Lots of key information, so get down, check that one out. But anyway, less about that. Chelsea's done and dusted, that one's ticked. Fan consultations, club crests, we can put that all to bed this weekend because it is Arsenal for the 4th time this season, and the message is clear, as it's been for the last 3 or 4 matches. Win this football match and it is pretty much done and dusted, and we can look forward to Everton on Bank Holiday Sunday as a bit more of a party day with something riding on it. Emirates is not an easy place to go, but I look at this match for Newcastle United and I've seen so many fans in WhatsApp groups online saying anything at Arsenal is a bonus. Well, I'm asking why? Why? Why are we putting ourselves down like that? I'm looking at this match in isolation. Arsenal, out of the Champions League, very little to play for apart from not having people jump above them in the table. Champions League is secured for them. They're not winning the title because that's done. They've bottled that one for another season. Marino, who's been playing as a makeshift striker for them, suspended. Declan Rice, at time of recording, 50-50, but he was spotted in training. We don't know whether he's going to be capable of starting the match. Leo Trossard, he's had an injury. Why can Newcastle United, even with our own injuries, not go down the Emirates, a team that we've beat 3 times this season, and take the points? I don't like, fair enough, going to Anfield, going to the Etihad against Manchester City where we are awful. Yeah, I understand the bonus points conversation. Not this game. And I really hope that every single player in training this week after Chelsea has the exact same belief as what I feel. Why can't we go down there Sunday afternoon in London, a full week to recover? We don't know what players are going to be back, what players are going to be injured. We'll get onto that in a second, and take the points. But it's an interesting game. It's been an interesting lineup against Arsenal all season, tactically, mentally. The Carabao Cup semi-finals were absolutely brilliant. I was down at the Emirates in January when we won 2-0. Scenes. I've never seen us win down there. Obviously, we were going back to Andy Carroll in 2010 in the league, which was our only win in that stadium, which is tragic. And we put all that to bed. As Newcastle United have done all season, we are ending records. And I'll get onto a few when I do the stats further in the video. But I'm looking at this match tactically, and there's so many fans calling for 5 at the back. It worked against Chelsea. We did it against Arsenal earlier in the season. It's the straightforward answer. Well, I'm going to be a little bit controversial in this video and argue that 5 at the back is not the way that I would go with this one. And as I'm recording, we found out that Sven Botman has picked up another injury potentially, and he's out for the rest of the season after only playing, 50 minutes on Sunday. I love Sven Botman, Rolls Royce, but it's a worry, it's a concern. I'm not going to buy into the fact that he was rushed back too soon again. Mistakes were made last year, but I think it might just be unfortunate. But if he gets a full pre-season under his belt, if we give him the rest of this season to just chill, write this one off and go again, I'm still not losing hope on him, but it's frustrating. But a lot of fans are thinking, well, if he's not available, who do we play and how do we play 5 at the back? Well, I don't think we need to, and here's why. Now, I'm going to say on this one, I think, and I'm going to do a bit of reminding in case this is the case, a lot of Newcastle fans are maybe forgetting that, yes, the last time we played them at St James's Park, we did start with 5 men at the back in that 2-0 win, the second leg of the Carabao Cup semi-final. What a night that was. But that was with a 2-0 lead that we had to defend. And in those sorts of matches, when you've just got to get through to 90 minutes by conceding less than 2 goals at the very worst to win the match on aggregate, it's a different ball game. And look at how Newcastle set up on their previous 2 matches when it was all to play for. The 2-0 win at the Emirates in January, which I've already talked about, and the 1-0 win at St James's Park in November was 4-3-3, the formation that we know. And I'm looking at this Arsenal team very different to the one that we played on the last 3 occasions. They've got no Havertz as their only striker, and I'm still not convinced he is. They've got no Mikel Marino, the former Newcastle boy, who, by the way, I absolutely loved. He's now suspended. He didn't fancy playing against his old side, so their makeshift striker is not available. Trossard's got a knock. We don't know whether he's going to be fit. He's played as a bit of a makeshift striker where needed. And it's just a very different proposition. And this Newcastle team, going 4-3-3 against Arsenal's team that does pretty much line up the same, with the likes of Rice, Partey and Odegaard in that centre area, and then Saka, Trossard, Martinelli, depending on who they play. And then they've got one of them that has to play down the middle. I think Newcastle can match their 4-3-3, just like we did at St James in November, just like we did in the first leg at the Emirates. And what happened after that? We only diverted to a 5 at the back, what was essentially a 6, in an Eddie Howe masterclass when we were winning the match in the second half at the Emirates. Newcastle, it's been talked about that how we've beaten these teams is by going 5 at the back. Technically at St James in the second leg we did, but that was a match where Eddie Howe set up from the off to let them come at us, stay disciplined and hit them where it hurts. And thanks to a couple of mistakes from them, we did that. But this narrative that 5 at the back is the way to play them, even when everything's to play for, when it's even keel, I don't agree with. And I'm looking at where they set up. And against Chelsea, it worked for this exact reason. Now, I don't often give myself a pat on the back from a tactical point of view, but I thought my analysis of the Chelsea match pre-match was pretty bang on. Big talk about Moises Caicedo playing it right back and going invert and pushing them up a bit. The 5 at the back I thought worked down to a T in nullifying that overload in midfield that Chelsea tried. And Moises Caicedo, when he came back into midfield and they put Reece James at right back, that worked absolutely brilliantly for them because they pushed their midfield up the yard because he sat in whilst also supporting the attack, and it just went from there. And I think the way we had a spare centre-back to mark the likes of Cole Palmer, who likes to roam, that's why it was down to a T. I look at this Arsenal team, and after watching them at Liverpool on Sunday, where they did come back from 2-0 down, Arsenal play a lot of their game in wide areas. The likes of Saka and Martinelli are going to be crucial, especially with no centre-forward ball. So I do look at this Newcastle-Arsenal midfield battle, and I think that's where it's won. I'm going to record this. There's the siren. You always get a siren here at St James's Park. I'm going to assume that Declan Rice is going to be fit and available for this match. He, for me, has been one of Arsenal's best players, if not the best. I really rate him. But if you win that battle, and I think we need bodies in there to do so, then half of this football match is won, in my opinion. We have the pace to get at them in attack, whether he goes with Gordon or Barnes, because I don't want it necessary for this one. For me, without playing 5 at the back, I don't want to see Murphy, Barnes and Gordon all on the pitch together. Who he goes with is totally up to Eddie Howe. I will trust whoever he plays. Gordon has the pace, and we've seen it at Arsenal. He obviously scored there in the Carabao Cup. But I think this one's won in midfield, and I think to only have Bruno and Tonali as sitting deep, that pivot, driving us forward like we did against Chelsea, I don't think will work in this match. Let's play them at their own game. Let's go 4-3-3. And I'm going to reiterate the fact that it has already worked twice this season. And even the stills from the Arsenal-Liverpool game on Sunday show that they don't pile a million bodies in the box. We need to get Declan Rice out of the game. We need to get Thomas Partey, if he plays, out of the game. And Odegaard, he's been very up and down. He's a creative maestro on his day, but he hasn't been for a while now, and I've seen Arsenal fans starting to get on his back because he hasn't been showing up for them. So I would personally go 4-3-3, but that leads me to my next question, team selection. Well, injuries with Newcastle at the moment, Eddie Howe always keeps his cards close to his chest, and rightly so, especially with such a big game, but you never know who's going to be fit and available. So again, I'm recording this before Eddie Howe's press conference, and it's without a doubt for me, Joe Linton in matches like this is a massive, massive loss. The big teams don't like playing him. He cranks it up a notch when he's not in the stands wearing retro kits. He's on the pitch, absolutely bossing the likes of Declan Rice, Partey, rubbing them up, getting the home crowd frustrated. And we don't know, he's had injections, we're told. He's been away to see specialists. If he's available and he's got one more match in him this season, I'm not so worried about Everton on the last day. Get him in. That would be my maybe risky move if he was available. But if we assume that he's not, look, we never know which Joe Willock's going to show up. Would you assume that Joe Willock is going to be right up for it against his old side? Well, he started, you might not remember, he started at St James's Park in the 1-0 league win when Tonali wasn't really always playing football matches for us, and he helped us win the match. He did get subbed off for Tonali, but again, he was on the pitch when we went 1-0 up, and he did actually play that game. So you never know what, if it's the Joe Willock that is still looking like he's lacking minutes. Eddie Howe has been very firm to say that every single player shouldn't need game time to be up to speed because their training is so intense. I respect that. Sorry, my can of pop has just gone everywhere, my good old trusty Red Bull. It's getting windier and windier by the day. A bit like this team news, because we haven't got a Scooby-Doo. I'm getting blown all over talking about it. Joe Willock for me, we just don't know which one we're going to get. Lewis Miley has looked very comfortable when he's come on. Could he sit in? Could he maybe rub up their midfield in the wrong way? Going back to me talking about winning those battles, I think he maybe could. That's the one I'm going to leave down to Eddie Howe, because I'm still foreseeing Joe Willock with more and more minutes, and he does drive us up the pitch, which, depending on whether we have the ball or Arsenal have the ball and who dictates the early stages, that could be key. That could be really key. Other positions, obviously Isak is still looking a couple of yards short. Is he just seeing it through? Yes, but does he seem to like playing against Arsenal? Yes. And he's always deadly given half a chance. Look, if Kieran Trippier is still not available, I would actually go, from what I saw last week, again, probably a bold move from me, Jacob Murphy full-back in a back four with Harvey Barnes on the right and Anthony Gordon on the left. If it's not working, you've got Emil Kraft, who we all know has never let Newcastle down. I feel so bad. My controversial opinion is that Emil Kraft, if he saw more minutes, would be a really, really good player. He'd be a player that we were talking about as a pretty steady Eddie, solid, bit like a Dan Burn. When he came in, no one was singing and dancing about it, but he's gone on to really, really cement his place. I think Emil Kraft's got that in his locker. He's just got players who are performing really well above him. So again, if Jacob Murphy didn't work it right back, it's just that double attacking threat against Martinelli, who doesn't want to defend down the right-hand side, that could be a crucial asset in beating these. So that's my team selection. I think apart from that, injuries look okay. Livramento left back, Burn and Share centre backs, of course. Dan Burn, another big performance needed from him. And what I noticed is that Arsenal have looked a little bit susceptible to set pieces. Bournemouth, both their goals from set pieces when they won their 2-1. And I think the likes of Dan Burn, I've got no doubts, Eddie Howe and Jason Tindall have been working on set pieces all week. Is that something we target? That's why Kieran Trippier could be massive in this game. But anyway, that's my team selection. I'm sure you'll let me know who you think should play down below. Please do. But anyway, now let's get into the last away game stats of the season. Stats. Here's a mad stat for all you that love to see Arteta tears. This is a really juicy one to get us started. No team has ever beat Arsenal 4 times in one single campaign. We've beat them once in the league, twice in the Carabao Cup semi-finals across both legs. We can be the first ever team to inflict, probably another excuse from Arteta, 4 times in one season. Oh, come on, the lads. Now, one player I am sad to see who might be back for Arsenal is William Saliba. Really, really rate him. We actually stole the Asula chant from him. Tequila! If he plays, which will be his 100th appearance for Arsenal, he will equal a record for most wins from the first 100 appearances. That tells you how important and how much of a miss he's been for them. 68 wins from 100 appearances. I'm really gutted that he might be back starting in the Arsenal defence. Problems for us. Right, here's a one which maybe highlights that this game could go either way, a bit of a flip-flop. So Arsenal have only lost one of their last 27 final home games of a season in the league, which tells you exactly about where they are when they wave their fans off. They normally don't lose. But contrast to that, Newcastle have lost only one of their last 6 final away games of the season, and 4 of those have been, you guessed it, down in the big smoke. Last season we won at Brentford 4-2 when we thought we'd got European football. Less said about that, the better. So who knows how this one could go. The stats counter each other. And that leads me on to my predictions. The next video, by the way, will be down in London. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I'm travelling down on Saturday because there's no trains. Literally Newcastle to Dublin by flight, Dublin to Luton by flight on Saturday, staying over 2 nights. You name it, I will be there down at the Emirates, so I'll try and figure out what videos are to come. So please, what that, subscribe, and give us your thoughts down below. Predictions. Last final away game of the season. I think the players know how big this is, but what the players have proved to me is that on the big occasion we are starting to win matches. So I'm going to back us, why not? Could end up with egg on my face. The Emirates is not an easy place to go, and I'm going to emphasise that. I just don't buy into this any points to bonus. Come on. We've got more about us than that this season. Look at our consistency since the start of the year. I'm going to go for a narrow 2-1 Newcastle win. I think we go at them full pelt and we've got more spring in our step than them. Let us know your thoughts down below, Newcastle fans. One final push, one win from 2 matches in my opinion. I don't know whether that's mathematical, and we are in Europeans' top competition, sitting at the finest table, eating the finest fruit with the best teams in the world. And what a finish to the season that would be. Keep the faith. Hoya lads!